Let's get to our Friday face-off between Nicholas REECE and Catherine McGregor. Good to join you. Have you both join us again. A lot to talk about. I wanted to start with you this week, Nick. Get your thoughts, given your work at Melbourne University, on this big shake-up where the government's going to deliberately put in price signals. Rather than how much these university courses cost to deliver, they're going to put a price signal in there to try and steer people into where people are needed. So your humble arts degree is going to double in price.
Yeah, look, I'll start by trying to look at the positive in Dan Tehan's announcement today. Look, I think the additional university places is welcome. Not as good as having an uncapped system, but additional places are nonetheless welcome. Also, indexation of university funding was a positive step as well. For the last couple of years, the Commonwealth hasn't been indexing university funding, so in effect they've been cutting funding to the universities, which has been hugely problematic. So to introduce indexation again is a positive step. Look, on the negative, I think the fee hikes are unfair. It appears that the Commonwealth Government wants to punish people undertaking arts and humanities degrees. They seem to, trying to extend the culture wars, I think, to every aspect of society, and now they're going after the poor old arts faculties there in the universities. Seem to fail to recognise the enormous value that all those arts graduates produce for our country, including no less than the last 4 out of the last 6 Australian Prime Ministers.
I don't know whether that's a good ad for the arts degrees, but I don't know whether they've been particularly successful Prime Ministers.
A couple on your side there as well, Chris. Don't worry about that.
I know the list. I've seen the list. Catherine, what do you reckon? We all value an education, and I would have thought that there could be some problems here, but the idea of this, the government using a price signal to, say, steer people into nursing or teaching where they're required, would, on the face of it, have quite a bit of merit.
Well, I think there is some weight to that argument, Chris, and look, taking up Nick's point, I've not been as steeped in the university sector as he has, but I have taught in the sector within the last 5 years, and I think the business model of Australian universities is much to blame for their woes. So I'm reasonably unsympathetic to the culling that has happened. I think we've got too many universities in Australia. There are too many courses masquerading as intellectual courses that are effectively trade training, and there is nothing wrong with that, but they've been delivered at bloated fees, buoyed by the influx of foreign students, and you've got obscene salaries amongst the Vice-Chancellor sector. Like, they really need to get their own house in order before they start pointing their finger at the government as culture warriors. And the humanities departments have essentially drifted off into esoteric areas of research that are frankly not about our self-comprehension, they're about self-loathing about Western civilisation. And if the government does want to take the trimming shears to them, good luck to them, frankly. And I think a lot of Australians feel the same way.
I think you've just stolen some of the thunder from my column in tomorrow's Australian, Catherine. But this is the point, Nicholas. I mean, ordinarily I'd say an arts degree, for someone who's not certain about what they're going to do with their career or their life, a good arts degree or a humanities degree should be a good thing. But so many of the courses run in our universities are patent rubbish that are just obsessed with identity politics and self-loathing about our national project.
Well, look, I'm afraid you and Catherine are both patently wrong about this. I mean, it's just a ramble of shallow cliches. Let's not forget.
Throw some identity at it.
Australian universities.
You sound like an old white man. You just sound like an old white European man.
Australian universities amongst the best in the world. Just to put in perspective, Australia's got 7 universities in the top 100. Compare that to Canada, which has only 2. We've taken the mineral riches of our country. We've invested in universities and they've become extraordinarily successful. And now, before COVID-19, we're earning huge revenue for Australia in the form of international education.
We have gone
biggest export we did. And all you can do is attack it, Chris, because of a small number of professors in the arts faculty writing some things you don't agree with.
No, I think they undermine the fabric of the nation. Yeah, it's a pretty sad indictment when you've had so many senior universities. They rejected
Nick,
a Centre for Western Civilisation Studies. They can't handle the thought of studying Western civilisation, yet they welcome Confucius institutes and kowtow to Beijing. This is a real problem in our society. Catherine.
Yeah, and look, you can get as irate as you wish, Nick. I've been in the system as well, and I've taught and waved through students who are barely able to produce written work in the English language. It's that simple. There has been a derogation of standards, and you can't go from about 10% of the population taking out university degrees to over 30%, in my view, without compromising standards. And the business model is built on soft money from overseas students. And I'll give you an instance. Last year, I was enrolled in a Juris Doctor at ANU, $5,000 per unit. That is obscene, frankly. Produce the business model that tells me that's a good idea, and then you've got, I'll exempt the Vice-Chancellor of that institution, but you've got others, 1.3 million or thereabouts, Greg Craven at ACU. Most of these institutions don't cross the threshold to be fair dinkum universities.
All right,
most of them are CAEs on steroids that grew under the Dawkins model. They should be closed down.
In fact, the old CAE I went to then became a university, absolutely. We've got to move on to the Labor Party. I love the fact, Nicholas, that you've actually got the red flag in your pocket tonight to talk about this. Tell us about the Victorian branch of the Australian Labor Party. What's going to be left of it at the end of all this factional fighting? And through the emerging from the smoking ruins, could there be an opportunity for you to grab pre-selection somewhere?
Now, Chris, you know I've always worn my heart on my sleeve, and I've done that in the form of my breast pocket tonight. I mean, look, the Labor Party has been one of the great institutions of Australia. It's been part of helping make modern Australia. But I think almost all members of the Labor Party would have been rocked and shocked by what they saw on 60 Minutes last Sunday night. And, Daniel Andrews, he's not one to do things by half measures. He has basically had the most significant intervention into the party since the late 1960s, when Gough Whitlam led an intervention into the Victorian branch of the Labor Party. He's essentially overturned pre-selection processes. He's shut down the admin committee. He's brought in Steve Bracks and Jenny Macklin to effectively become administrators of the party. He's called in IBAC, Vic Police, and now the Ombudsman.
So he is dictator Dan after all.
Well, one wag did say, look, Daniel Andrews controls almost every institution in Victoria except for the Labor Party. As of this week, maybe he's now got control of that as good. No, in all seriousness, look, something needed to be done, something dramatic needed to be done, and that's what Daniel Andrews has done, and that's a good thing for the Victorian Labor Party. And ultimately, that's a good thing for Australia, because we do want clean, healthy, robust political parties, no matter what their stripe.
Catherine, you've got 30 seconds on the Labor Party.
I don't want to intrude on private grief. Nick's clearly in a dire strait this evening. Woodrow Wilson said, "What purpose does a political party serve if it doesn't have a great national purpose?" This institution has lost its way. It's involved in factional brawling that is irrelevant to the people they purport to represent, and something must be done, according to Nick. That's hope rather than a plan.
Catherine, Nicholas, thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.